This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed by the host of My Brain is a Wonderland are exactly that, views and opinions. This is Emily Ruth Henderson, and I'm the host of My Brain is a Wonderland, the podcast for neurodivergent women and the people who love them. In 2020, after a hellish pandemic, I was diagnosed with ADHD and autism. Surprise! Now, I am passionate about reaching other women just like me who've been pushed aside, ignored, and misdiagnosed for far too long. Each week, I discuss my experience navigating my 30s with these two life-changing diagnoses. There'll be highs, there'll be lows, and everything in between when you join me for Season 3 of My Brain is a Wonderland. Hello everyone and welcome back. You're here with your host Emily, and today I have my two dogs, Leon and Claire, in the room with me. I usually shut them out of the room, but they're a little bit needy today and I thought it might be cute just to have them hanging out. So if you hear some snurfy sniffles, some jangly wanglies from their collars, or some barking, I will kick them out if they bark, but just in case, that's who you're hearing. Alright, so today we are going to continue our Masking Autism episodes, and last week I completed the second episode of the mimicking compensation traits or symptoms when you have autism. This week we're going to focus on the actual masking symptoms, which are actually repressing autistic traits. You can find all this information on neurodivergentinsights.com. It's run by a therapist who I believe is neurodivergent, and her child for sure is autistic. And all of this is based on basically a questionnaire that was conducted where they gave the questionnaire to like 400 autistic people, adults, and 400 non-autistic adults, and asked them about masking their autism. And 3 different kind of subsets of symptoms came out. The first was mimicking and copying, aka compensation. The second was repressing, aka masking. And the third is performing and pretending, aka assimilation. So today we're going to start the masking or repressing traits. There are 7 of these traits, and I'm going to start with the first 3 for this episode, because I'm going to be quite honest with you, I didn't even know if I was going to record this episode. If you've been tuning in regularly lately, you know that work is just all the things, everything, and nothing that you want it to be, or nothing that I want it to be, and so I'm struggling with energy, focus outside work, having mental and emotional energy to do anything else once I'm outside work. I used to be able to, cook, clean, get my podcast done, get like 4 episodes in a day done and edited so I had a lead on it, and right now that's just not happening. So I'm literally recording this the night before the episode comes out, so it's Tuesday evening, it's 6:30 on Tuesday. I'm going to try to edit it tonight and get it out for you for Wednesday morning. And that's how it's been lately, so I'm so glad you guys are tuning in, because I really need to feel that energy, just to make it through today. So let's start with the first episode, the first symptom. So we're talking about masking, which is actually classified as repressing your symptoms, which I didn't realize. I mean, I guess it's discussed in different ways, but this questionnaire is classifying it as masking is actually repressing. It's not compensating, it's not trying to assimilate, you're just trying to squash it down. So that was really fascinating to me, because I probably do that. So the first one is constantly preoccupied with how others perceive you and striving to meet their expectations. Hello, Mom, is that you? Yes. I mean, I think I always thought a lot of that was to do with growing up with a really intense, difficult mother who put me through a lot, who had lots of high expectations for me. But I'm realizing maybe this is also a masking thing, that you are preoccupied with how others perceive you because you're worried that your autistic symptoms are coming out, so you're trying to squash them down or repress them. And striving to meet their expectations, I guess, is because you're worried that you can't because of your symptoms. And that is actually something, my husband knows this, I talk a lot about what people think of me, and I worry about that. There's part of me that's very much like, because I'm neurodivergent, is like, oh, blah, 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 I just said something, whatever, I don't care, da, 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 da. But there's another part of me that's constantly worrying about, do I seem professional? Do I seem together? Do I seem like I'm a good wife? Do I seem like I'm a good person? Do I seem like I'm okay? Are people liking me? Do people hate me? It's very consistent. And then there's another side of me that's like, F you, I don't care. So it's really complicated. And I hate that aspect of myself, that I care so much about how others perceive me. And I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I really feel like I don't know how others perceive me. Have you ever heard that thing when they say, what if you could go into someone else's body for a day, your husband's, or in a man's body, or whatever, someone else's body, like Freaky Friday, what would you do? And often a lot of the comments are, I would, do something crazy, right? Like have sex with myself, or see what it's like to have a penis if I'm a woman, or whatever, all the kinds of stuff. And if you're really horrible, it's like, oh, I would go into a locker room and, as a woman with a guy in my body, or vice versa, and look at everyone naked, whatever. Just like funny stuff. Funny as in weird, not okay stuff. For me, and I said this to my husband a few weeks ago, I think, we were talking about this, and I said, what I would do is I would perceive myself. I would watch myself. So if my spirit went into someone else's body, like Freaky Friday, I would watch myself, or I guess my spirit would have to still be in my body. But if I could be someone else for another day, but have the knowledge that I was actually really Emily, but the Emily body still kept who I was, I would watch myself and see how I come across. How do I laugh? How do I smile? How do I communicate with people? What does my voice sound like? What is my tone like? What do I look like when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm angry? How do I come across when I talk to people? And that really would be life-changing for me if I could actually see how I'm perceived by someone who is perceiving me. It's that, what is that philosophical? I did philosophy and now I can't remember to be is to be perceived. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, did it actually happen? It's all about how you are perceived, right? That's what that philosophy is about. That it doesn't matter how you feel, doesn't matter what really happened, doesn't matter what reality is, it matters how people perceive you and how you're seen and what happens in that interaction. So that would be something that I would love to do. Not possible, I don't think, but if anyone has some kind of something I could rub or open and like a genie pops out or something and I can Freaky Friday myself, let me know because I would love to do it. Please don't make me swap with my mom though, because no thank you. The second part of that is striving to meet their expectations. I have always been I exceed your expectations, especially at work. I am like, and I think everywhere in my personal life too, it's like, oh, you think that here's my minimum, well, I'm going to do everything. Here's a report on this. Here's that. Here's a whole project on why this needs to be done in my home life. Oh, you want dinner? Well, I'm not just going to boil some pasta and put some sauce on it. I'm going to caramelize some onions. I'm going to bake it. I'm going to use this other cheese. I'm going to make a salad. I'm going to bake some rolls. then it's like too much. And sometimes I just have to dial myself back because I'm so into exceeding expectations. And really, what's kind of bothered me about it is when I exceed expectations, I expect someone to say, good job, that was amazing, here's a cookie or 12, thank you so much for doing that. You know what really happens when you exceed expectations? You may get a thank you. You might get a thank you. That's it. That's it. If you are at work doing 80% energy and getting your work done versus 150% and doing a lot more other work, depending on your workplace, you might barely get a thank you. You might not even get noticed. At home, you could boil pasta, put some sauce on it, throw some of that tubby, the tub of Parmesan cheese on it. Family's like, living large, love it, thanks, good job, good, yummy. You might do 2 hours of prep for a meal where you caramelized the onions, you chopped up the veggies, you made the sauce from scratch, you added some meat, you did a salad, you made fresh drinks, blah, blah, blah. You might also get a, thanks, that was good. Yeah, yummy, good stuff. You don't usually, in my experience, you don't get a thank you or response that matches the energy and effort that you put in. Not because people are asses. I think usually because people don't understand how much energy you put into something. People are grateful just to receive whatever it is. And it might depend on who the people are you're working with or with at home. But I constantly try to exceed expectations, and now I've tried to kind of back off of it a little bit because it's too much. It's too much. And really what I need to fuel myself after that is that excessive congratulatory kind of like, thank you so much, that was so great, and here's why, and you rarely get it. And so then I end up feeling deflated, right? I end up feeling like, well, what was the point of that? What was the point of me doing all that if the people I'm doing it for don't even recognize it? Or if they do, they don't even say it. And then it makes you feel depressed and down, makes me feel worthless, makes me feel like, what's the point? And then you just get, again, into this rut of like, fine, I'll just do the minimum, whatever, which is also a bit depressing. So I don't really know how to get over that, but I have tried to, particularly with cooking food, dial it back, because I would spend hours. And I'm like, dude, you can just like boil the pasta, put the sauce, throw some lettuce, or not even. Like, we make veggie pasta where the actual pasta has vegetable powder in it. And so you're getting servings of vegetables. We use marinara sauce. So I don't need to necessarily put all the things on the plate and do everything and then be sad that, the person was just like, thank you. So that's my one on that one. My sister-in-law's called me twice. I'm sure she just wants to chat about she's coming to visit with a friend on Thursday. I'm going to have to call her back after this. All right, second one. Diligently adjusting your body language to appear interested and engaged in conversations. Oh my gosh. I do this all the time. Still haven't figured it out because, surprise, I'm autistic. I am constantly trying to kind of fix my face, right? Like, how do I look? Am I smiling? Am I looking like I enjoy this conversation? Am I looking like I don't enjoy it? Are my arms folded? I used to be a really big arms folder. And actually, me and my husband bought a new car on Sunday. And I remember when the salesperson came over, the really high-pressured douche-magoosh guy who's like, well, we can't, but, buy whatever. And me and my husband, and I noticed this, and he's not very aggressive. He's not very like, shut up and do what I want you to do. And we both had our arms folded. Like, I'm signaling to you that we're not happy. You're trying to schmooze us. And because I'm autistic, I said straight up to the guy, this is our budget. This is the car we want. Let us know what the numbers are. And he's doing all this. We're not in the, prevention of sales business. I'm like, I don't need your idioms, or that's not an idiom, but I don't need idioms, waxing lyrical, blah, blah, blah. Tell me the facts. You want this car. This is the cost. Not all this fluff McGuff. So I absolutely do that. And honestly, that stood me in good stead at work because or even at home, because I come across sometimes as like dead. Like I'm not reacting, I'm not smiling, I'm not upset, my face is just dead, like not doing anything, and my tone is monotone, and that confuses people. People can think I'm angry when really I'm like, how does this look angry? My face is just not doing anything. But a lack of emotion, any emotion can come across as angry or aggressive or upset. So I've really tried to fix that. I was actually having a conversation at work a few weeks ago with a senior manager who not getting into it, but I was trying to the entire time, okay, look normal, don't smile too much, it's going to seem like you're laughing. Don't look angry, it's going to seem like you're angry. Okay, don't fold your arms, but don't put them by your side. Maybe I do a lot of rest my face on my hand. Anyone else do that? Put my hand on my chin, like I'm doing something with it, because otherwise my arms are folded or flat at my sides like a robot. So that's something I've tried to really work on a lot. But I'd prefer not to have to do that. I'd prefer to just say to people, which, in a lot of engineering jobs, people can say this, I'm autistic. So I'm monotone. My body language is not fully where you might want it to be, but what I say is what I mean. And I really wish sometimes I could just say to people, I'm autistic. What I say is what I mean. My emotions don't always, or my appearance of emotion and appearance of my body language and face don't always match what I'm saying. Listen to the words that I say. What I mean is what I say. And I'm always trying to tell managers that, what I mean is what I say. I will do what I say. Always. But if you're asking me to be neurotypically vague with my face and, then vague with my words, almost impossible to do. I'm overly candid, overly honest at work, and overly clear sometimes. So I wish that just was okay, And I actually have a new manager right now, and I might actually tell her that I'm autistic and have ADHD. I'm just a little gun shy on it, because I've had bad experiences in the past, which if you've listened to the podcast, you know that about me telling people at work. So, yeah, I might. We'll see. All right, and the third one is heightened awareness of the impression you make on others, leading to self-consciousness. Absolutely. I think that goes hand in hand with that past one that I just said, right? That I'm thinking, how does my body language and the things that I'm saying what does it impress upon people? What are they thinking when I'm doing all these things? And so then I am self-conscious. I'm constantly going, am I here? Am I there? What do they think? What did they think when I did that? And ruminating on it. I mean, I don't know how much anyone else listening does this, but I know it's typically neurodivergent. We have not great memories unless we've been wronged by somebody or we messed up. Anyone else relate to that? If you've been wronged by someone or you mess something up, you will absolutely remember it for the rest of your life. You'll remember the date. You'll remember where you were. You'll remember how you feel. And you'll really struggle to let it go. Even if you've worked through the emotions or you've moved on as a person, you've grown, you might actually look back and still look back and say, okay, back in March in 2010 when I was living in France and that guy did that thing to me. God damn it, I hate that. It's really complicated, and I wish I didn't do that. I wish I could let stuff go easier. I wish my brain would forget. Anyone here watch Eternal of Sunshine of the Spotless Mind? And it's a movie this isn't a spoiler. Sorry if you can hear my dog chewing a bone right now. It's about a couple who... Is it a spoiler? Okay, maybe if you haven't seen it, skip ahead 20 seconds. It's about a couple who are together, but then they find a way. They break up, and so it's sad, right? You break up with someone, and they find a company where they can erase your memories of somebody or an event, and they erase the memories for them, so they don't remember that they were ever even together. And I wouldn't want to do that for being with somebody, but for some stuff, like that I just can't let go of, or it comes up years later. Do you remember how that person wronged you? Do you remember what they did to you? Do you remember how you felt? Sometimes I wish I could just erase it, pretend it didn't happen, because I cannot stop thinking about it. And it will come up years later in conversation, like, God, that whole thing. And then you get worked up about it. And I hate that. I just want it to just be like something I don't think about. And my husband's family is really good at this, actually. They, will forget something happened 2 weeks to a month later. And I might be thinking, oh my God, they're going to remember how I said something or how I came across in a way I didn't want to. And they don't remember anything. They don't remember any of that stuff. They don't harp on it. They're not, thinking, God, I remember 6 years ago when Emily said that one thing and I just thought, wow, really? And, hold it against me. And I really struggle to see that too, because I'm like, why can't I be that way? Why can't I be that way? And it's because it's who I am. And part of that is okay. Part of that is okay. But also you can hear it says leading to self-consciousness. Yeah, it does. I'm talking about it right now, how I'm self-conscious about it. And I don't like it. I wish, even if it existed, that I had a heightened awareness of the impression I make on others, that I didn't feel self-conscious about it. That it was just something that it was. So, yes to all three of those. And sorry, this is a little bit more of a shorter episode because I really am just like, so worked up about work right now. And I'm struggling to find the words, but I think I got there with most of those things. Sometimes I tell some more stories. My brain is just like on lockdown right now. I can barely access any kind of emotion, interests. Honestly, my brain is just like locked down. And like I say, I wasn't even sure if I was going to record this today, but I'm trying to be consistent. I'm trying to not fall off like I did on season 1 and just really keep going on this. And again, if you can hear my dog chewing a bone, my apologies, but I really want them in the room right now for that comfort. So if you are struggling with the same things, I'd love for you to reach out to me at mybrainisawonderlandpod@gmail.com. Stay tuned next week for the next and final 4 symptoms of masking autism, but the repressive kind, not compensating or assimilating. And we'll keep continuing this series. And if you haven't listened to previous episodes, my first episode, which has a different intro than these ones do, and it's a different microphone, so it might not sound as good, but it's all about how I got diagnosed, what led me to this whole thing. And look back at my unmasking and masking ADHD episodes. We often have comorbidities. If you have ADHD, you're more likely to have autism, and vice versa. And a lot of the symptoms are the same, or similar. So I think you'll learn a lot about it. So I'm so excited you're here with me. Thank you so much for all the reviews. Thank you so much for all the support. This actually made me feel a lot better coming on a microphone with you this evening. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week. And I'll see you again next week for another episode of My Brain is a Wonderland, Season 3. Bye-bye.